Another example problem here. Jimmy needs to finish his 300-meter race with an average of 3 meters per second. He runs the first 80 meters at 5 meters per second and the next 100 meters at 2 meters per second. How fast does Jimmy need to run the last stretch of the race to complete his goal? Now this one, we know what we need. We need to know how fast. So we're trying to find velocity. That's what we're trying to find. But we need to know how, in order to know how fast, we need to know our distance and we need to know our time. In this case, we know our distance. It's a 300-meter race. But how much time it is, we don't know. And we also have it split into 3 sections. So we actually have 3 separate problems here. We need to figure out what he's done at the first 2 sections to figure out what he needs to do on the last section. Okay. So Jimmy's going to run a crazy race here. And we know that if he's going to finish at 3 meters per second, this 300-meter race, it's going to take him 100 seconds. He has to finish this race in 100 seconds. Regardless of which stage of the race he uses the most time in, he'll need to take a total time of 3 seconds to meet the average of 3 meters per second. So all we did was find out the total time he has, and that would be 300-meter race at 3 meters per second. So 300 divided by 3 would give us our time. We have 100 seconds. Okay. So now we need to figure out how much time he's already used up, because he's already ran 80 meters at 5 meters per second. He's already ran 100 at 2 meters per second. So if we can figure out how long it took him this first section and how long it took him the second section, then we'll know how much time he has left to complete the last section of his race. Because if he takes too long, the speed's going to be too low, and if he finishes too early, then his speed will be too high. So he's got to finish at just the right amount of time. To do that, we just use that same equation, time equals distance divided by speed. We have our distance for the first section, 80 meters, he went at 5, so he only took 16 seconds to go the first section of the race. The second section, he went 100, but he took at 2 meters per second, so it actually took him a lot longer to go that next 100 meters. It took him 50 seconds to do so. So if we add those up, we get 66 seconds, okay? And then we can take that off of 100, because that's what our total time needs to be. So he says he's got 34 seconds left to finish this race. So he's got to complete the last bit of this race in 34 seconds. Well, he's already run 80, and he's already run 100. So he's run 180 meters. We take that off of the 300. So he has 120 meters left, and he has 34 seconds to do it. So how fast has that got to be? All we got to do is we've got a distance, we've got a time. We can plug that in. Distance divided by time will give us an average speed of 3.5 meters per second. That's what he's got to do the last race in.